Hello, this is Coach Purani from US Impact, US Indo-American Political Action Committee of Texas. We are here in election season, May 4, and right here we have Nate with us, who is running for ISD Place 1. Thank you so much for giving us your time. First of all, we would like to start a little bit from your background and what inspired you to run for this position.
Sure. So I believe education is the foundation for a peaceful and prosperous society. So the higher the education, the better quality of life for folks around the globe. So when I looked at what I can do to help my community locally, education came top to mind. So I've lived in South Korea, I've lived in Germany, I've done work studies in the developed economy of Singapore and the emerging markets of India. I've worked in the military, small business, worked my way up to large multinational corporations, and then became an entrepreneur and started a small business. I grew up in Texas. I've gone to Texas public schools, and now I help my special needs son working with individual education plans here in the Frisco ISD School District. So these are all kind of stark juxtapositions, and that gives me real insight into what the economy needs out of a Frisco ISD graduate, and then also how I can best relate and connect with each individual student, knowing their name and need, which is the mission of our district.
That's great. You give kind of global vision. You come with that kind of vision and experience for ISD, and then actually having done all of that and starting your own startup or a business, it takes a particular kind of personality to be able to take up that challenge. It's not easily taken. So you definitely have that strength in you to pick up something new and go for it. I see that. Having said that, what do you think in ISD currently, the way it's working, what would be your top priorities in terms of what would you like to work on? Maybe that needs a change or needs a betterment. Maybe it doesn't exist and you want to see it that way. So what would be your top such 3 or 4 items that you'd like to share?
Sure. Well, I take, just like in my career, I've always taken ownership and taken responsibility to solve problems. So when I look at Frisco, had experience with my child in the district, and when a board seat opened up, I said, do my skills match what the district needs right now? And I looked at security. I'm a security consultant by trade. I looked at entrepreneurship skills. I'm an entrepreneur. And then, most importantly, I looked at advocacy for special needs. I'm a parent of a special needs child. So I saw those aspects missing from the existing board, and so really thought that I could add that new and complementary expertise to help drive positive change in those 3 areas.
So there was a TRE bill passed, tax verification election passed last year. We do have some funding. So if you get that liberty, how would you like to fix the need in terms of special ed? How would you like to use the tax dollars so that the problem gets tackled?
Well, I have a low-cost solution, a medium-cost solution, and then one that costs more money.
That's like an entrepreneur. You
correct.
Think like one.
So the first thing we can do right off the bat easily is provide standardized training for all teachers and all students, not just special need teachers, on the most common special need diagnoses, such as ADHD, autism, Down syndrome, to really equip teachers and students to identify symptoms and know what strategies are best to communicate with. What that's going to do district-wide, over 60,000 students, is reduce the bullying across the district for these special need kids, and then also increase the inclusion in the classroom. So instead of just a special need kid sitting in the corner, these students and teachers will be better equipped to incorporate them.
That's great. Bullying is a problem that definitely exists, and things need to be done to tackle them. There are some studies that teachers can, or somebody from school administration can actually undertake, which are provided by the police department. But it seems we are still short in staff in terms of schools. because teachers are already too busy doing what they're doing, and if we need some such surveillance, then we need more people and absolutely more funding. So, what would be your thoughts on that particular thing in terms of, can that fix bullying, or can we use some other technology kind of, solutions to manage and see if something is happening on the ground, or maybe we can increase maybe number of police officers. So maybe on those lines, do you have something like this?
Sure. So for me, bullying and correcting that is a culture shift that needs to happen in the district and in the city. So first, just general awareness. Like I said, education is the foundation for peace. Well, that's part of that is being educated on diverse groups. So when a new diverse child, whether it be a race, background, country of origin, or sexual orientation, or special needs, if that child has never encountered that other, culture, then their brain is going to make their own conclusions, and typically it's not going to be a good conclusion. They're going to say that's different. So by raising awareness and educating them on diversity, you're going to reduce opportunities for bullying. And secondly, we have to have real consequences for bullying. Right now, a lot of bullying does get reported, but that report goes into a filing cabinet, and for many instances, the offending child doesn't even get communicated to. I've talked to numerous parents who feel that this is a big issue, and so increasing awareness and then also having real consequences for bullying will help shift that culture in the district.
Very well said. Basically, on the lines of knowing each other better and being part of the diverse global network and respecting each other, that by default can help in reduce bullying, and as well as having better consequences so that they know they're afraid of doing something wrong. That's a good solution as well. So besides special ed and bullying, what are the other things that you see maybe in the schools?
Well, we always need to stay vigilant with security. So we have great relationships with Frisco Police Department and Frisco Fire Department, but we do have numerous schools that fall outside of Frisco. So we need to make sure that our detection and response capabilities for our McKinney, Plano, and Little Elm residents are equally as strong as the relationships we have with our local police department. We also need to focus our spending on our security assessments. So there are things we can do today to increase detection, meaning knowing that an incident has occurred and sending that notification to the police so they can provide a faster response.
That's great. Using the technology in the right manner
Correct.
for a quick response, that definitely is needed.
That reduces the impact of any incident when we
But
have
any
that.
thoughts in terms of tackling it ahead of time and preventing the comment before it happens?
Well, that goes back to the awareness training, diversity training, creating a culture of diversity, and then a culture of not allowing bullying. All those contribute. Mental health, bullying, they're all big contributing factors to violence in the school district.
Right. What is your take on the drug issue, which is slowly coming up as the school level grows from middle to high? And also there's a law talked about related to marijuana, which they're trying to legalize, not related to ISD, but in general, because kids are the one who get much impacted because of this issue. So, any thoughts on that? How can we handle it if at all?
Well, I've talked to Chief Bruce of the police department and numerous parents, and there seems to be a disconnect between the administration and the parents. The parents have great concern over the rise of drug use in the schools. I've even heard Reedy High School commonly joked as Reedy High School. So that's not a good sign for your district. I have I, I believe this comes back to tying real consequences to these problems. So even if marijuana gets legalized in the country or in the state, that's only going to happen for people that are 21 years and older or whatnot. So it'll always, it should always be, certainly basically a zero tolerance policy in the school. And I know from a personal experience that when I get in trouble as a kid and I get a warning, that just means I run around and do the exact same thing again and say, oh, I got away with it. But when I have a real consequence, then that trains me that this is a bad behavior. It's not going to produce the outcome I want. So we need to educate children on the dangers of drug use, but to be frank, they need real consequences
teach
to
them
these.
right and then maybe direct them to the right direction of the right cause. Currently, there was a bill passed which increased the salaries of teachers across Texas, but that was one-time hike only. Any thoughts on salaries of teachers in general?
Well,
Because they are
this
the
is
backbones of the system anyways.
they are, and this was actually pretty surprising to me. I always assumed that teacher pay was going to be the number one issue amongst teachers. But talking with dozens of active teachers and the Frisco area retired school personnel, what teachers communicate to me that they really need is support. They want more teachers to reduce the class size. They want more paraprofessionals, more aides in the classrooms, so they can have that one-on-one connection with the child and have direct impact on their student outcomes. Right now, the district is giving teachers, appropriate raises at certain times, 3% here, 3% there, but at the same time, they're taking away the support. They're removing specials from elementary school. They're cutting library aides. They're removing extracurricular activities. They pay substitute teachers and paraprofessionals are paid extremely low. And all this is putting extra burden on the teachers. And that's what they really tell me that they want, is that extra support.
Good to know that you are actually in touch with the teachers in person, face to face. That means a lot, and so that you know the issues at hand. TRE was passed last year, so we do have some bond money. And I would like to also know your thoughts with the increasing, property tax rates on recapture and how to manage that, if at all. Any
Sure.
ways you think it can be managed?
Well, we need to be accountable to our community. And so I want to establish a contract with the community on what outcomes the community expects from us as a district. Do they want us to be a A-rated district? Do they want us to be an exemplary district? Do they want us to have rankings of 92, or do they want 96? Or are they okay with 88? So when we establish this kind of social contract with the community, then it's easier to communicate our needs to the public. If we're falling below that threshold and we need to come to the community and ask for more money to achieve the objectives that the community set for us, then that's going to be an easy case to make. But if we're continually exceeding those expectations, there's no real neat reason for us to come back to the community and say, we need more money, we need more money, we need more money. So establishing that social contract and being accountable to what results they expect is how we manage the plus and minuses of that money.
That's a good concept. Asking community themselves to prioritize the objectives, work accordingly, and then have a milestone to check, and then ask for money if needed. You have laid it down very simplistically. But having said that, in terms of recapture, tax and the property, all that plays a big role, which sometimes is out of the normal man's hands. Of course, they want more money in their pocket versus paying for taxes, but then they can't do much if the economy is growing, which is good for them anyways. The area is growing, but then there's another cycle which starts with it. So,
well, with recapture, there's no reason that we should raise taxes and send half of those taxes to the state for us not to get back. To me, the returns on that investment from our community is not there. So I'm not going to ask the community for $1 when I know I'm only going to be able to keep 50 cents out of that dollar. That's not a good bargain for our community.
I see what you're saying. Okay, so any other things that you think Frisco ISD currently is doing fantastic and should be continued in the future?
Well, we are.
It's been going. A lot of people
There's
are coming
100
before
programs
ISD.
that are going fantastically. You know,
Go ahead. Yes.
so yeah, just keeping these programs, keeping them funded, recruiting talent, curating these programs, you know, that's what's going to keep us going strong in the years to come. So,
Okay, sounds good. So first thing you would like to work on once you get elected? Your priority number one.
priority number one is to make sure that we are spending the bond money that was approved effectively. It was approved last year, $691 million. We're already releasing contracts based off that bond. So the first priority for me is to make sure that we're sending requirements out, writing contracts that are appropriate, getting competitive bids, so that way we're not wasting, you know, any dollar of the taxpayer money that they've entrusted in us to spend.
That's great. Thank you so much for giving us your time. And any other thing that you would like to talk to all your viewers?
I thank you for your time. I hope you can see throughout this campaign that I've been able to demonstrate that I can accept ideas from different aspects of the community, that I'm able to develop policies to state my mind. I'm able to be a team member when that's required, but also dissent when that's required. And I'll be an independent voice on this board fighting for you, and I hope you see that I've demonstrated that capability, and I appreciate your consideration.